Okay, so we've got our Wadkin BAO planer here, and I'm just going to give a little demonstration of how the new table support bracket works. To refresh your memory, the old bracket made of cast iron busted off right here at the ear where there's a there was a bolt that went through here, and it put tension on that, and it's made out of gray iron, so it basically fatigued it over time because it's so brittle, and it broke off, and there's not much you can do to repair that other than replace the bracket. I went ahead and tried to put a new bracket, cast a new bracket out of gray iron, and tried to reinforce it a little bit in this area out here, made it a little bit wider, made the whole thing a little bit thicker. And what happened was that when I put that one on first use, it snapped through the back right here, directly through this bolt hole and through the collar. So that didn't work out too well for me. So I went back to the drawing board, and I made a new collar out of steel. And the difference between the steel, between the collars is mostly just the fact that it's steel, but also it's shaped a little bit differently. And this old collar, you can see a good piece of it went below the table, and then this much of it from here was above the table. What I've done is that now sits flush on the mounting plate, and everything is above the table. So what I want to do today is just give a demonstration of how this thing should work. Hopefully it's going to support the table the way I expect it to. The first time I'm going to use it, I'm not going to tighten the bracket down, so that way you can see how that table moves when you feed a piece of wood through it. Basically what was happening with the old bracket was the table was rocking back and forth on the center pivot point. And when that happens, you get a heavy snipe on the back end of the piece of wood that you're running through the planer. So first couple of passes that I run through, you're going to see the thing rock pretty good, I think, around the bracket, and then I'll tighten the bracket down and try to take a heavy cut and see what happens. So we'll turn the power on and we'll see what happens here. bracket does what I expected it to. The steel is much better. It's much more flexible at the collar. Grabs that support tube pretty good. You know, it's kind of an odd design on the planer. I can't figure out why they did it this way. That table would be able to rock back and forth so much when it's you know, when it's unsupported by the tube. But this does appear to operate the way that they engineered it to, and all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing I wish I did differently was I wish I had started with steel in the first place, because you know, ultimately when I looked at it, I thought that that's what I should do, but I opted to go with the original part and try to make it look as near as possible to the piece that came out of the machine. You know, at the end of the day, I just think it was a bad choice of materials using gray iron for this collar. The steel has the flexibility that you need, and I think it'll last a long time. The other thing I need to do is to probably change this handle, because this really doesn't give you much leverage, and I haven't seen any pictures of these to tell me whether this is original or not. I'm thinking it would be nice if it had a handle that was like similar to this, that sort of came off the side a little bit. Of course, it has to be able to clear the table, so this has to be oriented in the right position, but I don't think you get enough leverage with that handle on there. So aside from that, I think that this is pretty much ready to go, and I can move on to the next couple of things on this planer, which include doing some work on the surface of the table. I'm debating whether I'm going to take these out and have them ground. They're not really bad, but they could use some work. I may just try to smooth them out by hand, and obviously the machine is ugly. Also down on the feed works over here, this is the speed control for the feed works. That's the variable control. On the side of the table, you've got a high and a low, but you can also control the speed with this handle here. Obviously, they broke the original handle off, and they put a piece of threaded rod in it, and that needs to be replaced. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the machine, and appears to work pretty well. So with that, I am out. Until next time.